In this video, I'm going to show you how to implement parallel processing in Pro Tools. On the screen, we have a violin track. Let's take a listen to a portion of it. That's a pretty good sound, but I'd like to add some reverb onto it to give it some more depth. Here are a couple of ways I can do that. I could apply the reverb just like I applied the EQ in the previous video by going to my inserts and clicking Plugin, Reverb, and choosing a reverb such as Air Reverb. You'll find out more about this plugin later, but I just want to draw your attention to the mix knob in the lower right-hand corner. This mix knob allows us to blend a certain amount of reverb into our sound. So if I start at 0, there will be no reverb, and as I crank the knob up, we'll add more and more reverb. Take a listen. Now, if you have a small session with just a few tracks, there is absolutely nothing wrong with putting the reverb directly on the track. However, once you get into bigger and larger sessions with more tracks, you will find that it's hard for the computer to keep up with many different reverb tracks all happening all over the session. So there's another way that we can set up a reverb to be shared by multiple tracks, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to click the dot to take Air Reverb off. Next, I'm going to create a track to host the Reverb plugin. So I go to Track, New, and I'm going to create a stereo aux input track. Aux input tracks are useful for a lot of things, including hosting shared plugins. I'm going to call the track Reverb. Then I'm going to put the Reverb plugin on that track. When the reverb is on this aux track, also called a return track, you want to make sure that the mix knob is cranked up to 100% all the time, because we're going to blend the dry and wet sounds together a different way. I want to be able to get the violin sound to go through the reverb track, and the way I'm going to do that is with a send. Now I can't see my sends right now, so I need to go to the Edit Window View selector, click on it, and choose to see my sends A through E. The sends look a lot like inserts, except instead of dots in the boxes, they have letters. I'm going to click on Send A, and a menu pops up giving me lots of destinations that I can choose to send my track. I'm going to go to Track, Reverb. And two things pop up. This reverb pops up in Send A, and also this large send fader pops up on the screen. With the send fader, I can blend the dry and wet sound together, just like I did with the mix knob in the plugin. Take a listen. So the higher up the fader is, the more reverb is present, and the lower down it is, the less reverb there is. Now, I don't have to look at the send fader in this way. I can look at it a different way. If I hold down the Command key or the Control key on a Windows computer, and I click the letter of the send, then I'm in Expanded Sends view, and the send fader is right here, and I can do the exact same thing. I should also mention that you can look at this in the mix window. I hit Command equals or Control equals on a Windows machine, or I can go to the window menu and choose Mix to see this in a channel strip style view. So here is the expanded send and the meters you can see right here, and we can just use this send fader to blend the reverb in. There's one more thing you need to know about send and return tracks. If I solo the violin, you'll notice that the reverb track becomes soft muted. It's not intentionally muted like that, but it's muted because the violin is soloed. If I play it now, we don't get to hear any of the reverb. So if I hold down the Command key or the Control key on a Windows computer and click the solo button on the reverb track, the solo button is grayed out and the mute is no longer muted. So now the track is in solo safe mode, and even if with the violin soloed, we still hear the reverb. In general, time-based effects such as reverb and delay go on aux input tracks in a send-return fashion.